right, y'all, so we're gonna write out now. So thank you for coming out. We're gonna be a Pocos Pero Loco situation. My name's Andres Ramirez. I'm with People for Mobility Justice. We're doing a series of bike rides this summer called Mob J Summer, in which we wanna highlight particular corridors in South Central Los Angeles that are getting improvements done on them. It's amazing what's happening to it, right? They're building a greenway that runs from the Blue Line, which is just east of here, to the Crenshaw Line. It's a rail-to-rail connection. This is something that the community has advocated for 20 years at least. The city of Los Angeles, together with Metro, were able to get millions of dollars to convert the greenway, right? So it's gonna be a bike pedestrian path that also has a greenway, right? So there'll be native plants. They're also doing stormwater capture projects along the pathway, which is absolutely very much needed, right? But it's also part of the reason why we started here in Augustus Hawkins Park. This is one of the jewels of South Central that a lot of people pass by and don't realize even exist here, right? This used to be a pipe factory, a pipe building factory that was abandoned for many, many years. The community organized to try to create green space in a very poor community, right? There's not a lot of parks and green spaces in this neighborhood. In the year 2000, funding was won through different state funding sources to create this natural green space. It's also a stormwater capture facility, and it's all native plants that provides, you know, a nature walk space, tree canopies, especially now in the summer with the crazy heat index. A lot of the community you'll see use this space. We want to definitely uplift spaces like this. This is called the Augustus Hawkins Nature Park. It was named after Augustus Hawkins, who was a congressman that represented South Central from 1963 to 1991. Long time, you know, civic leader in the community, and you know, someone who helped to advocate and help to garner the funds to create a space like this. All right, y'all, so we're stopping here because this is the South LA wetlands that was built in 2012. This used to be a storage center for Metro for many years. But in the year 2010, 2011, once again, the community organized wanting for more green space. This conversation about stormwater retention, right? So this is actually a stormwater treatment plant. That big building behind here, a lot of the water that runs from the rest of LA gets filtered here into San Pedro, gets treated, and then gets filtered back into the LA River. The water is used to feed. It gets filtered firstly through there, then it goes into the pond to get natural bacteria out, and then it gets piped out into the LA River. It's also created another green space in the community. You can see mad people use it, right? A great space for folks just to be outdoors, active living, right? In a space that's green, beautiful, right? Calming, all with native plants as well, not invasive. Because that's a common theme in our community, right? Like, you know, these spaces do exist in our neighborhood, right? We just often are not told about it. We're often are caught in our own blocks. We don't get to explore too much outside of our neighborhoods, right? But there's these gems that exist, right? And we want to uplift, right? You know, once the greenway on Slauson gets built, these places are going to be a lot more accessible and easier to get to by many means, right? You don't got to drive everywhere in our neighborhood. You can take a bike, you can go on a scooter, you can walk, you can run, and jog, and come in and enjoy these spaces. And so this is a great space that we really want to highlight, right? Like this, there is great things happening here in South Central, right? You also notice there's bike lanes on Avalon. That took years of advocacy for the community because there used to be a lot of pedestrian and bicycle deaths on Avalon, right? Avalon's a cut-through streets for a lot of people who are driving through the community. When Central's packed or Crenshaw's packed, they come and cut through these streets, right? So we demanded that the Department of Transportation create actual bike lanes for folks, because we also notice a lot of people bike commute on these streets, right? I mean, people work in these factories, right? They're not all shut down. People go work in Vernon, people work out here on Slauson, people work out on Compton Avenue, right? And a lot of those folks, they're not drivers, right? A lot of those folks are riding their bikes, and that's how they get into work. And so that's why this infrastructure is still a battle that needs to continue to occur, right? Because, people should feel safe and not feel at risk of their life riding their bike to and from work, school, whatever, right? That should be an affordable option for folks, because it's expensive to have a car, you know what I'm saying, period. It's not only the upkeep and regular maintenance, but it's also like monthly bills on it, right? Like, where are you gonna house it, right? If cars are shifting to being electric, where are you gonna plug it, right? Like, all these are the questions that need to be made here in our community. And all these things need to be taken into account when advocating for, what comes to South Central. All right, let's mount up, everybody. So we're at Chesterfield Park, y'all. This is main reason we wanted to ride on 54th Street. So one of the projects that came to South Central this past year is a program called STEP, which is funded by the California Air Resources Board. Part of that program is creating improvements on 54th Street. This is a street, east and west corridor, that a lot of bike commuters use in the neighborhood, okay? As you can see, there's a lot of work that needs to get done on it. And it's going to be repaved. They're going to put better sensors and better on the lights to read the bikes, and put sharrows and things like that. Better crosswalks for the pedestrians, and a more canopy. There's going to be actually an opening or a kind of celebration for that quick build project here in Chesterfield Park in October. So if you folks are interested, we'll definitely keep you informed. But as you can see, right, there's work that's being done, but the work is definitely needed, right? We saw there's a whole stretch that's just potholes the whole way, right? Doesn't exactly make it feel the safest for you to ride, right? But these are the streets that are available to us, because this is one of the supposed bike boulevards that exist in South Central, right? If folks don't feel comfortable riding on Florence, on Slauson, on Gage, these are the streets that folks are being geared to, but they need the infrastructure as well, right? And we want to be able to ride from Chesterfield over to the wetlands and feel safe doing it. It's not that far of a ride, you know what I mean? And folks should feel comfortable doing it with their families if they want to, right? It didn't feel good until we finally got to a bike lane, right? That bike lane should run all the way to Central, frankly, right? That also will force cars to not be so impatient and seek other ways to get around, right? Because right now, that's what's happening. 54th is a cut-through street for a lot of people. That's why they're smashing on it, right? That's why they're going around they're so in a hurry, because this is how they're skipping the traffic of the bigger streets, right? And so we want to make sure that these streets that folks in cars understand is being shared by pedestrians, being shared by bicyclists, and they need to be going slow. This is not that street to go fast on. But we got to demand these things. It's not given to us, y'all. None of what we demand is by coming out here and riding, showing that people actually will use it.